opportunity to check it out. And of course, here is a map of the Byzantine Empire. It did incorporate some elements of the old Roman Empire at times, but through competition and losses to invading Muslim armies, it's ultimately going to be something that retreats back and really focusing on the city of Constantinople as its capital. The first person to really kind of make Constantinople, or Byzantine at the time, its capital, was a guy by the name of Byzantine I. And, he was the first, what they would call the first Christian Roman Empire. He ruled during the 4th century, and he got to see the Roman Empire begin to transform into a Christian state, and he had a lot to do with it, as we will see with some of the other questions that we have. In Constantine's rise of power, what did he have his soldiers paint on their shields? He had a vision, a dream, and he ordered his soldiers to paint Christian symbols on their shields. In the end of the battle, of course, they came out victorious and were able to enter Rome and reclaim it as part of the Byzantine Empire. What was Constantine's proclamation in the Edict of Milan in 313? He allowed Christianity to exist. There had been moments in time since the beginning of Christianity that they'd either been persecuted or tolerated, but here is a legal allowance by the emperor to allow them to practice freely throughout the empire, and that is really a key. Theodosius is going to make that official later on, but Constantine was the first real convert. He converted on his deathbed. His mother had been a Christian as well. So later on, we have the Justinian and Theodora, the power couple of the Byzantine Empire. And so in the video, you were able to see that there was a lot of intrigue and bribery that happened. And so there was a fellow named Justin, and he had a big role in deciding who the emperor was. He was head of the royal guard, and he was bribed to get support to his favorite candidate. Justin took the bribe and used it to bribe senators to support him. Since he had so many people on his side, he also had a huge group of soldiers on his side. He became the new emperor. The problem, though, with Justin is that he was a swineherder. He meant that he took care of pigs, and he lacked an education. His nephew, on the other hand, Justinian, was very bright, literate. So he sought the help of his nephew Justinian because Justinian could read and write, and of course it was important at that point to have a ruler who was well educated. Justinian is going to marry an actress named Theodora, and back in that time, this was scandalous because, first of all, she's a common woman, and an actress back then was more like being a prostitute, and so people thought really lowly of him, but he didn't care. He was truly, truly in love with her, and he found a way to marry her. And she is a lot more than just that, as you will find out. Who are the Blues and the Greens? They're like political parties. They also are sports clubs. So if you're a Duck fan or a Beaver fan, you got your colors there. These were the Blues and the Greens, and they were political and social groups. Justinian's Code. This is one of his biggest achievements. Justinian wanted all the laws to be the same throughout the empire because he saw that the laws were confusing and did not apply equally to people of different economic and social levels. They were also not written down. The laws in one part of the empire might have been different than the laws of another part. Justinian wanted all of his people to be treated the same way, so he had his judges and lawyers, specifically a man named Tribonian, get together and write down the laws of the land. And those laws of the land were called Justinian's Code. What is the American connection to the Justinian Code? Well, of course, the men who wrote the Bill of Rights were well-educated people and knew their history, and so they take a look at what Justinian put together with his code, and those Bill of Rights are going to be the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, and they list out the freedoms and protections to all Americans. So you can kind of thank Justinian and Tribonian for giving that to you. The Hippodrome. So as you know, the Hippodrome is just a big outdoor recreational facility. It's like a big stadium, only it was constructed for chariot racing, and it was constructed by Constantine, started under Constantine. It took 7 years to build, 330 to 337 in the Common Era. The most famous groups, racing groups, of course, in the Hippodromes were called the Blues and the Greens. Not surprising. How many people were killed in the riots? Wow, Justinian had a real problem here. He could either leave, he was going to be threatened, but he decided that he was going to take decisive action, and he is going to kill about 30,000 people that were rioting at the time. Around what year did the chariot races end? The chariot races in the Hippodrome ended about 1261. During the Fourth Crusade, the four gilded horses, the horse of St. Mark, the one that stood at the gates of the Hippodrome, was taken. Which city can you find the horses of St. Mark today? And you'll find those in Venice. So if you go to Venice, you can definitely look at that. They'd been, they were very, very famous. Here is one of the most beautiful buildings in the world. This is the Hagia Sophia, and it was built by the Emperor Justinian. And it's located in Istanbul, Turkey, and it was a Christian church. It was built. It says Greek Orthodox, but it became Greek Orthodox. It had been Christian. It will become Greek Orthodox in 1054 when there's a big split in Christianity. The first two versions of the Hagia Sophia were brought down by fire. And then the third version, they wanted to make sure it didn't burn. And so he commissioned famous architects to build a basilica that couldn't be destroyed by fire. And so that third version of the Hagia Sophia was finished in 537, and most of its original elements are still standing today. Describe the dome and art found within the design of the Hagia Sophia. Boy, they have a lot of traditional elements in their domed roof. Naves, supporting arches, marble in the flooring, came from different parts of the country or the known world. Columns were coming from Ephesus and other marble from Egypt. The building itself is impressive. I mean, it's 269 feet long, 240 feet wide, and the dome stretches about 180 feet in the air. And the first dome is going to collapse, and then they're going to get partially collapse anyway, and they're going to get the nephew of the original architect, and he's going to add structural ribs with more of a pronounced arc. And this is the structure that you see today. The dome rests on a ring of windows that are supported by two semi-domes, two arched openings to create a large nave, which is a big open area. The walls were originally aligned with Byzantine mosaics made from gold, silver, glass, terracotta, and colorful stones, portraying well-known scenes and figures from the Christian Gospels. Who captures the city of Constantinople in 1453, and what was the city renamed? In 1453, the Ottomans are led by Emperor Mehmed, who became known as Mehmed the Conqueror. He captures Constantinople, and the Ottomans rename the city Istanbul, and that's what it's named still today in modern-day Turkey. Under the Ottomans, it changed. Being Islam was the main religion of the Ottomans, the Hagia Sophia was converted into a mosque. And a lot of the Christian pieces and themes are going to be redone, showing like Muslim or Islamic calligraphy, using features the names of Allah and the Prophet Muhammad and the four rightly guided caliphs and the Prophet's two grandsons. There lots of gold, very beautiful. Bronze lamps were added. 4 minarets were added to the original building to provide support and structure, but they also serve a function within Islam. These are these tall towers that the the muezzin's climb to call people to prayer. And of course, it's gone through some renovations over time, the last major renovation being in the late 1840s. Hagia Sophia, of course, has a religious purpose, but it's really kind of a museum today. Lots of tourists. There's a lot of people, excuse me, that would like to see it be a mosque again. And then ultimately, when you watch the video, you're going to notice quite a few things in that video. I just listed a few, the different tones, the blues, the golds, the grays. It's very open, lots of pictures, calligraphy. Um, Calligraphy is very important in Islam. Many domes and detailed artwork, fountains and columns and brick and large marble tiles. So lots of things that you could have written there, so I'll accept a lot of those. I hope this helps you if you haven't completed the assignment. Guys, take care.